200 years, Montgomery, Alabama has been making history by people who had the courage to stand up for change. Today, this riverfront city has been reborn, embracing the past and looking forward to the future. From the National Memorial for Peace and Justice to the stage of the Alabama Shakespeare Festival, this is where history was and is made. We are proud to call Montgomery home, and together, we can be the change.
Maureen is saving big holiday shopping at Amazon, so now she's free to become Maureen the Merrier. Food is her love language, and she really loves her grandson, like really loves.
The top HBCU programs in the nation come to Montgomery, Alabama's Riverwalk Stadium this May 11th through 14th for the Black College World Series. The best Black college baseball teams in the NCAA Division II and the NAIA will battle for Black baseball's ultimate prize. Games will be streamed live at www.mybcsn.net. Tickets are available now online at www.blackcollegechampionships.com.
Nope. Nope.
Come on, him?
Ooh, I like him.
Quick, the quicker picker-upper. Bounty picks up messes quicker, and each sheet is 2 times more absorbent, so you can use less.
He's an 8.
He's a 9.
Bounty, the quicker picker-upper.
Oh, that spin class was brutal. Well, you can try using the Buick's massaging seat. Ooh, yeah, that's nice.
Can I use Apple CarPlay to put some music on?
Sure, it's wireless. Pick something we all like.
Okay, hold on. What's your Buick's Wi-Fi password?
Buick Envision 2021.
Oh, you should pick something stronger. That's really predictable.
That's a really tight spot. Don't worry, I used to hate parallel parking.
Me too.
Hey.
Really outdid yourself.
Yes, we did.
The all-new Buick Envision, an SUV built around you. All of you.
Now, you can live in Texas and not have a good red meat blend. Texas Cowboy Dust is designed for steak and other red meats. It's out to be my most popular spice blend, made with onions, peppers, ground mushrooms, pink salt, and other spices. Texas Cowboy Dust also goes great with chicken, pork, vegetables, and adds a restaurant-quality sheen to gravies and sauces.
It's like a loop machine. All around town, people trying to get down.
Vanilla smoked sea salt seasoning is for seafood. The tarragon and fennel bring out the natural sweetness in seafood. I also use it in rice dishes, on yams, asparagus, blueberry pancakes, and believe it or not, chocolate chip cookies. Vanilla smoked sea salt adds a salty and savory component to sweet dishes that create a symphony for the tongue.
The Cuvée Group is a Florida-based marketing and training consulting firm. We help businesses communicate to their target audience and engage them in conversation. We also help to expand their audiences, which will ultimately result in growth for those organizations. In addition to being a certified constant contact specialist, my colleagues and I are also certified in John Maxwell Leadership Principles. We use these proven principles to conduct workshops, training, and private coaching sessions for individuals and companies looking to take things to the next level. Contact us to schedule a free consultation. Issues today, don't delay, call Cuvée.
Since 2002, Empowerment Resources, Inc., a nonprofit organization, has empowered more than 1,500 youth and adults in Duval and surrounding counties through its programs Journey into Womanhood, Girls Mentoring, Life Skills for Teens, and Parenting Education Coaching. To get involved with programs, volunteer, or donate, visit www.empowermentresourcesinc.org. Follow us on social media, facebook.com/empowerment.resources and instagram.com/empowermentJAX.
Supermarket sushi, really?
No. Wait, Troy, you work here?
I'm never not working. Like Head & Shoulders Scalp Shield technology, up to 100% dandruff protection, even between washes.
Never not working, huh?
Oh, Troy, you're such a good teacher.
Yeah, I know. Never not working. Never not working. Never ever not working.
Are you serious?
Never not working. dandruff protection that's never not working. Head & Shoulders Scalp Shield technology.
It's never too early to plant the seed, to share the tradition, and instill a sense of pride in your HBCU with your little ones. HBCU Pride and Joy Children's Boutique helps you share your school spirit with a wide selection of adorable kids' apparel and accessories officially licensed from your favorite HBCU. Visit hbcupridejoy.com and follow us on all social media at HBCU Pride Joy on Facebook and Twitter.
This is the Dean of the College of HBCU Sports, Kenyatta Cavill of Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Come mix it up in the lab where the course lecture is in session every Tuesday from 6 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time on Facebook Live, YouTube Spreaker, or the BCSN app, as we discuss all things about the HBCU sports culture, including exploring the week that was in the sporting HBCU diaspora, as well as the upcoming week of HBCU sports. With me, the Dean, the College of HBCU Sports, on Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Course lecture dismissed.
But earmuff, you stay on hard.
All right. Welcome to another live edition of the BCSN SportsWrap. Bryan and AD here, and it's another beautiful day to come to you and be out here in this day and age. I'm at a loss for words, actually. Got some special guests that might be calling in. Hey, but on today's show, April 10th is a special show. Got to give a shout out to my brother from another mother, AD Drew, celebrating a birthday today and came to work. That's what I'm talking about, dedication. My man, Drew, happy birthday. How you doing, my man?
Hey, man, everybody keep asking me how do I feel today. I feel the same way that I felt yesterday at 49 years and 364 days.
So today's the big 5-0?
The big 50.
50.
50.
I feel like we should be
50 piece. I feel like we should be 50 piece, half century. Whatever other analogy that you want to put on 50.
Congratulations, brother. Congratulations. Hey, anytime a black man can make it to 50, it's a beautiful thing. You know, that the odds were against you from birth, brother. So congratulations, man. And I don't believe it's all downhill. You still got more climbing to do. So don't get comfortable. Don't get comfortable up here at 50, all right?
Yes, my brother. And we'll see you soon. I'll just put it to you like that.
Yes. Not too soon, though. Not too soon. Just don't let these grades fool you. This because I deal with high schools and middle school kids. That's all this is. I'm shaving all this stuff off as soon as the summer comes, and I ain't got to see them kids no more. But anyway, hey, while you're watching our show,
you want to see you with the baby face, man?
I do want to see him with the baby face. You know, I want somebody to see me with the baby face. You know, right now this is battle scars. This is my war paint right now. Just to let them know I'm serious. You know, don't get too comfortable. Don't get too comfortable. Hey, while you're watching the show, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at my BCSN1, the number one. Make sure to send out some birthday love. Hey, we normally tell you to go ahead and support the show, by hitting us up at myjbn.com/support, or we might tell you to hit us up on our sponsorship page that you can find on Spotify. But I'm going to flip it up today. I'm going to tell you to go hit Drew up. Drew, I'm going to make you give out either your PayPal, not your PayPal, but your I don't know, maybe your Zelly, your Cash App, whatever you got. I'm going to tell you to put it out there on these streets, Drew. We're going to start a collection. We're going to pass the plate. Pass the plate for Drew today. We're gonna pass the plate. Look, you got a cup of coffee, a 5, a 10 spot. Help a brother be able to get a bottle later. That's how we do. So we raising funds, passing the plate around, so my man Drew after the show can have enough to do delivery. We don't want him to have to go out to the store. We want delivery, because they do delivery with that stuff. So Drew, give out what do you want? Cash App, Zelly? How do you want people to bless you?
Everybody should have a Cash App, so we'll make it easy on Cash App, and I'm gonna throw it into the chat from the on the YouTube and on the Facebook feed.
All right, so there it is.
For those who don't, I will say it verbally this one time, is $ Coach Drew AD.
There you go. $ Coach Drew DREW AD. Let's go ahead and let's support the show. We don't know how well you folks out there support our show by how you show. It doesn't matter. It could be $1, could be 5, could be 10. Whatever you're able to do, we appreciate it, man. Help my man be able to do delivery on that bottle tonight. Something good. Nothing that's gonna give a brother a headache, because he might have to go to work tomorrow. You gotta go to work tomorrow?
I might. Did you just say?
All right. See, that's Drew, working man. See, working man, we go to work. We go to work. That's what we do. So, hey, look, we again thank
Brian,
you for everybody.
Brian, before we go any further, I see some of my family actually joining me on this podcast today. So shout out to all the Drew family who's joined thus far on the podcast. And I know my family, by the time we get done, they'll share this link, and I have all my brothers and sisters and cousins and nephews and aunties and nieces and everybody else on here. So that's gonna be that one in the ratings when we look at that algorithm. That's gonna go like that.
Beautiful thing. Well, shout out to the entire Drew family for coming through. We continue to lift you all up in prayers, and we're going to sit here and we're going to celebrate AD as much as we can on the show today. Hey, so this past weekend, big weekend in HBCU football on the landscape, because at least a dozen, maybe a little over a dozen schools had spring football games. By my account, Texas Southern had their spring game on Friday. Then yesterday, Drew and I were in Tallahassee at FAMU's spring game. I'm still chafed from the cold, blistering hawk. That was it was a beautiful day otherwise, but that hawk was memorable to say the least.
Brian, you had sunshine because of how we had to produce the ONG Strike Zone, a show that I'm not even a part of on a normal basis, except I am behind the scenes a lot of time on it. But you put the brother in the shade, man. How you do a brother like that, man?
That I hate to say this, Drew, but it's bad setup. That was bad setup by the producer, because the producer, for some reason, when he came out there and set the tables up, he set the tables up in the shade, not taking into account the cold weather. So, I just came out to do my part to help set up, but I'm gonna put that one on the producer, wherever that guy is.
That would be me.
Yeah.
And the only thing I'm gonna say before we move off of that, Brian, and we said this yesterday, we've been to homecomings in November in Tallahassee that were warmer than it was
warmer than that. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Welcome to spring in Tallahassee. So don't let all the pictures and videos of the beautiful
day
sunshine,
otherwise.
Yes, don't let that fool you. It was still cool. It was nice sweatshirt, hoodie weather. I can definitely say that. So I want to know from those of you who are at some of these other schools, what was the weather like at Alcorn, who had their spring game? Mississippi Valley State had their spring game. Southern had theirs as well. North Carolina Central, Dell State, Norfolk State, Tennessee State. Edward Waters had theirs. Virginia State, Lincoln, PA, Albany State, and Morehouse all had spring games yesterday. So if you attended those games, we want to hear from you a little bit later in the show. We might be opening up our phone lines. We want to hear from you. Let us know what you saw, what you thought. You know, a lot of big questions go into spring games. You're hoping that you begin to see at least a lot of the newcomers. I think that's one of the main objectives. I don't know if quarterback battles are won and lost as much as fans and media would like to think they are. But
lost better than
in
won.
terms, yeah, I was going to say, yeah, they're probably lost more than they're won. I would agree with you on that. So that's that's just one of the takeaways from that. But overall, you know, and just a little bit of scouring of Twitter and different social media, all in all, it appears to be good. We'll probably have more updates throughout the week as more information continues to gather. What else? What else from the weekend, Drew, has caught your attention?
Well, let's start off with Dwayne Haskins, man. I know it's not HBCU related, but Dwayne Haskins had a tragic end to his life on yesterday as he was hit by a vehicle. Believe it was a dump truck, and from what I've been able to see, he was out jogging. Reports are kind of sketchy right now, but they said he was possibly out jogging.
I've read one report. Well, because just the picture of somebody jogging, that's a highway. It's a 3-4 lane highway. I want to say I read something about a car breakdown and him going. I don't know where I read this. I've read and seen so much, from the ridiculousness to some of the facts about what happened, to just some of the sympathy and outrage for different things that people have. I don't know where, I can't recall exactly where I read this, but that he, for whatever reason, appeared to be crossing over the 3-4 lane highway, and that's where this tragedy occurred. And so a lot of questions come up, as you know. I think anybody with any curious person would begin their thoughts as to why. And I don't want to speculate because there's no timeline there to suggest what a lot of people have speculated. But again, it does make you wonder why. And then regardless of the why, you just come to the hard, cold facts that a 24-year-old young man is no longer on this earth. He's no longer there with his family, his team, his support system, his friends, and it's a lot of people that will miss Dwayne Haskins. And that, that's it for right now. All the other stuff, honestly, is irrelevant to me. It is fascinating from a curiosity and how we handle things and how we process information, how we react to things that people say. It is fascinating, if you're into that kind of stuff, to watch the social, what's the word I'm looking for? The social, just the social responses that are out there. But at the end of the day, when you put the focus back on the young man, we don't know why. And that's the sad part. And that will be the hard
Well,
part, I would imagine, for his family.
correct. Well, as somebody who's just, as everybody know, gone through this recently with a passing in my family, and the public passing of someone in my family. And when I say public, because when people are such as my sister, such as Dwayne Haskins, public figures, all the media speculation comes in as far as the who, what, when, where, and why. No one knows. It's really not our job to know. You have police investigators who will handle those things. The one thing, and I empathize with the Haskins family, is that now the family needs their privacy. Number one, that everybody wants to speculate. Everybody wants to talk about what happened. Why was he doing this? What was he crazy? Was he this? Who cares about all that stuff? The fact is, the brother is no longer here with us, and all the media speculation, what he was doing, why he was there, what the other person was doing who was driving the vehicle. Let's think about that. Someone struck him. I hope it was not intentionally, but the fact that that person has to deal with that trauma in his life for the rest of his life. So there's a lot to unfathom here. You've got to give the stuff time to play out. Get the Haskins family your thoughts and your prayers with them. Give the driver of the vehicle his thoughts and prayers with the driver of the vehicle, because it's a traumatic thing for all parties involved. Trust me. And when you read all the fake news and the false reports that will come out over the next 2, 3, 4 weeks, the family just has to sit there. It's like, here we go again with this crap. So Haskins family, I understand.
Yeah. Well said. Coming up a little bit later in the show, we're hoping that Charles Edmond from the Alcorn Sports Radio Network will be joining us. Charles can give us some information on Alcorn State spring game, who was this weekend. You know what? I may not have mentioned in my list, and this wasn't done on purpose, so I don't want people to think that I didn't have Jackson State on that list. They had their spring game as well, and the only reason is
But
because
it's not the spring game.
Yeah, because I think they're doing something April 24th as well. So, and
Right.
that's what I had.
The game that they're doing on ESPN, I believe.
Well, so that's what I was trying to ask. That's what I was trying to figure out, because the game yesterday I thought was on. I'd heard somebody say or post that it was on ESPN. I don't know if that was accurate. I know the one on the 24th was supposed to be on ESPN, but yeah. So we'll kind of see what's going on there. So we'll try to go through and break down some of these spring games that we had over the weekend. I thought it was kind of interesting as I watched some video from Tennessee State. Tennessee State appeared to have a good showing. They did their spring game at Hale Stadium, and there is a push to try to get some field turf down at Hale Stadium. That's one of the things that I'm hearing is being pushed for. But I know they had a good crowd. I've seen the videos. There's some good crowd. They had their band out, so I know that's a good crowd, and I think people are excited. But one of the things I read in an article had to do with the Tennessee State players singing the alma mater, knowing the alma mater, And I was reading the article and I'm thinking, what, they weren't doing that before? You know? So I was like, wait a minute, they weren't already, pausing and singing, saluting to the alma mater when it's played, given the fact that Rod Reed, who was a former Tennessee State player, was the head coach for about a decade prior to. So I gotta find that article and see if I can find that article. I just saw one of our posters that just said that was actually Jackson State's second spring game. So maybe that was the televised spring game for Jackson State. So like I said, I'm a little bit behind in terms of gathering all of that information because, like I said, we were in Tallahassee, and in terms of my sleep, I found a good little rest stop to to hunker down for a few hours. Yeah, trust me, I did not want to end up on the side of the road anywhere. So yeah, I had to make sure that on the way back I found a few spots to pull over and rest. So I just got word that Charles Edmond will be joining us here coming up at the bottom of the hour. We'll get a chance to talk to him. Drew, also just a non HBCU sports related to NBA regular season comes to an end. The play-in games will begin. So for those of you, if you haven't been paying attention to the NBA, now you can start to pay attention because the playoffs are about to begin. So you can start to pay attention to the NBA. You may not know what's going on. You may not know who's the favorite. Maybe later on in the show, we'll give you a quick little 2-minute summary to tell you what you need to know. But I know a good portion of games are going to be starting around 7:30 tonight. I think TNT is probably doing a end of the season special to kind of get people. And they're still doing a playing game. So if you wondered, yes, they're doing a playing game in the NBA playoffs. So, 7, 8, 9, 10 will battle it out for 2 spots. So interesting. One game and you're done, or one game you advance. So again, we'll share a little bit more of that coming up later. All right. So let's do this. Let's take a break, come back, and we'll share a little more and get ready for our interview with Charles Edmond, Alcorn State Sports Radio Network. He'll be joining us, and we'll get a chance to talk to him about just some of the news in the SWAC. Also get an idea of what things are looking like for Alcorn in this upcoming spring. This is actually the first spring that they've had in, I want to say, 2 years. So
that would be about right.
Yeah, be about right.
Did they do spring during the COVID year? They just didn't participate in
I don't think
athletics.
They did. I don't think they that's a question for Charles. Because I don't know. I don't think they did anything though. So we'll find out. So let's take a break. We're watching the You're watching, not me, but you. You're watching the BCSN.
We're watching it too because I got my live feed right here.
There you go. You're watching the BCSN SportsWrap. Let me get out of here, Drew. We'll be back in just a moment.
Charmin Ultra Soft has so much cushiony softness, it's hard for your family to remember. They can use less.
Sweet pillows of softness.
This is soft.
Holy Charmin. Oh, excuse me. Roll it back, everybody. Sorry. Charmin Ultra Soft is so cushiony soft, you'll want more. But it's so absorbent, you can use less. So it's always worth it. Now, what did we learn about using less?
You gotta roll it back, everybody.
We all go. Why not enjoy the go with Charmin?
From novice to aficionado, find yourself here. High quality cigars plus personal customer service. Slow Burn is Waco's only mobile cigar lounge, featuring a meticulous, curated collection of premium cigars. Visit our website, www.slowburnwaco.com. That's www.slowburnwaco.com.
We are making the virtual HBCU experience available wherever you live through Stillman Online. We offer online degrees in business, criminal justice, psychology, and religion. Stillman also offers technology badges in cybersecurity and data analytics. You can participate in all student activities, fraternities and sororities, internships, graduation ceremonies, and much more. Apply for admission today at stillman.edu. Stillman College, where we prepare you for a different world.
For 200 years, Montgomery, Alabama has been making history by people who had the courage to stand up for change. Today, this riverfront city has been reborn, embracing the past and looking forward to the future. From the National Memorial for Peace and Justice to the stage of the Alabama Shakespeare Festival, this is where history was and is made. We are proud to call Montgomery home, and together, we can be the change.
Maureen is saving big holiday shopping at Amazon, so now she's free to become Maureen the Merrier. Food is her love language, and she really loves her grandson. Like, really loves.
The top HBCU programs in the nation come to Montgomery, Alabama's Riverwalk Stadium this May 11th through 14th for the Black College World Series. The best black college baseball teams in the NCAA Division II and the NAIA will battle for black baseball's ultimate prize. Games will be streamed live at www.mybcsn.net. Tickets are available now online at www.blackcollegechampionships.com.
Welcome back to the BCSN SportsWrap. Bryan and AD here. That's right, it's my man AD Drew's birthday today. So we appreciate you guys on the YouTube feed, Facebook, wherever you are. Make sure to send out a little birthday shout out. Hey, and we're passing the collection plate. So, you know, anything that you can drop in my man's bucket, to bless him with a little birthday gift. It doesn't matter, $1, $5, $10, whatever you want to do to help my man be able to get a bottle, so he can do delivery. We're trying to do delivery, folks. We don't want him to have to go we don't want him to leave the house, the home studio. So, you know, whatever you can do is greatly appreciated. Normally we would tell you that, hey, go support the show on myjbn.com/support, or maybe on the BCSN Pod Zone via Spotify. You can support there as well. But today we focus in on Drew, Cash App, the cash symbol, Coach Drew, DREWAD. That's what it is. So we thank you in advance. Coming up here shortly, Charles Edmond, Alcorn State Sports Radio Network, will be joining us. It'll be interesting to kind of see, let me see who else is left from the SWAC. If I'm just looking spring games, Bethune has their spring game next week, next Saturday. Prairie View A&M on the 23rd. UAPB on the 22nd. Alabama State on the 26th. And I'm not sure if Jackson State is having one on the 24th or not. I had it originally written down as the 24th, or maybe not. So, we'll hit that point where we'll come out of spring, and we will begin probably with about 140 days before the season, 135, 140, and we'll begin the all too early speculation of what the SWAC will look like. Drew, that's what we do. Even though we still got.
Does anybody play football but the SWAC? Oh, yeah, that's right. The MEAC plays football.
Oh, okay. Hey, I didn't know that. Celebration Bowl champions, hashtag national champs. Yeah, I guess they do still play football there in the MEAC, but, it's such a dominant force that the SWAC is, and that's just the reality of things. And that's because the brands, they're big, bold, they back it up with band power, And they just got to win a Celebration Bowl. That's really all that is left for them to do, because right now the MEAC has run roughshod over that thing, and the MEAC has run roughshod over that MEAC SWAC challenge too. So that's another thing that the MEAC continues to kind of have a one up on the SWAC. But we'll begin the speculation and kind of begin breaking down quarterbacks. A lot of schools are doing the junior day thing, Drew. That's another thing. Social media, if you follow HBCU sports, your social media, your timeline, I mean, whether it be Twitter or Instagram, I'm not a heavy Instagram person, but I know on Twitter, it's littered with, a lot of junior day pictures. You had a lot. I know Florida A&M had a big junior day for the class of 2023. Alcorn State did as well. I wouldn't be surprised if other schools do something or did something similar, where you're inviting the next group of recruits, because most of these schools are already in the mode of they're beginning to recruit for 2023. So that process has already started. Maybe you're trying to fill in a spot or two left for 2022 in the fall, but I'm sure that'll come via the transfer portal or some nature like that. So, yeah.
And speaking of the transfer portal, Brian.
Yeah, go ahead.
It's going to be interesting after all these spring games are said and done to see who winds up in the transfer portal after that. And that's on two sides. Number one, you've got players who realize right now they're number 3 or number 4 on the depth chart. There's already somebody who's supposed to be coming in the fall, who's not on campus, somebody's supposed to be coming in the fall who's not on campus. Number one, there's somebody who's rated ahead of them who's injured and just could not participate in spring workouts. Number two, and then you've got those recruits that those coaches have signed who may be slotted ahead of you right now. Those players are going to head to the portal. Then there are going to be teams who realize, okay, we need another corner. We need another linebacker. We need another running back, whatever the case is. And then, of course, there's that team that's like, we don't need him, but if he in the portal, he that good, we gonna go after him, and we're going to try to get him. And he's going to bump somebody else out. So just a couple of things to put out there when you think about the portal there, Brian. It's going to be interesting to see what happens in about 2 to 3 weeks. You're going to see that last ditch effort in the portal.
Well, I think we saw it already the week right after Grambling's spring game last weekend, right? One of the quarterbacks, I believe Elijah, I think it's Walker, is his last name. One of the quarterbacks, he put his name in the transfer portal right after basically the spring season was over. I've heard people very critical, and just in general, people were very critical of all of the quarterbacks from Grambling after that spring game. But that's obviously, I would guesstimate that the future with Noah Bodden is going to make its appearance this fall. So to me, if you're Walker, obviously he came in with Fobbs, so with Broderick Fobbs, and so he'll probably be looking to go somewhere else. But there's a few other places, a few other schools where let's just say kids are going to be looking for other opportunities elsewhere, and that's just the nature of it. I mean, look, we have to begin to wrap our minds around where college athletics is right now. College athletics, you have the transfer portal. Call it free agency if that's what you want to call it. Coaches aren't going to like it because there's less stability. Okay. But it's a pro player system. NIL is in our life now. That is another pro player movement happening, and so coaches have to be more in tune with all of these things, with the NIL and transfer portal. But more importantly, college is still college. You still have to be able to graduate kids, how the transferring affects GPAs and your status within the university system, and then how the NCAA views your institution is one of those administrative worries, because now you've got to be on top of your paperwork. Look, if we thought being on top of paperwork was bad before the transfer portal and NIL life, now you really have to be on your game. So, it's more for everybody, but let's just keep it real, Drew. It's a lot of money being tossed around. I don't think it's too much to ask. I don't think you're asking people to do their job, do it well, and if you can't do the job, find someone else who can. I think that's just where we're at with things these days.
Bryan, do we want to talk about the elephant in the room when it comes to transfer portal? Because the transfer portal it works both ways.
Okay, talk to me.
Obviously, this week, we had the reports from Grambling State University. Once again, the multiple media outlets reporting things and the conflicting stories that the Arkansas Pine Bluff head coach comes over to Grambling, and after a couple of workouts this spring, cut everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Then she cut everybody to bring her players from Arkansas Pine Bluff with her. These are the first reports. Then there's a follow-up report saying that no, she didn't cut everybody. She was only bringing 4 or 5 players with her. Then there are other reports that players were offered, were not offered. We saw there have been a couple of people in HBCU media who have done podcasts. Won't call them out because they're not a part of the BCSN family, so I'm not going to give them their shine on our show. But when it's all said and done, though, the freedom that these athletes have been afforded via the transfer portal to just come and go where they want, how they want to, for no reason. Well, student athlete, here to tell you, it goes both ways. That the coach can cut you what they want to. And speaking of Grambling, we've got a Grambling alum that's about to join us. Maybe he could give us his 2 cents on this conversation, Bryan.
You walked right into that.
You shouldn't have been late to the party, my brother.
That's not what he came here to do. That's not what he came here to do. Look, you see he's got on his polo. He's an official representative of Alcorn State, so we're not going to ask him any questions about that other school that he graduated from. It's a good friend of the program, Charles Edmond, joining us. Charles, how you doing this evening, man? Good to have you on with us.
Oh, good evening, guys. How you doing? I walked right into a hornet's nest, or tiger's den, as we would say.
Right.
Yes, sir.
Right. Yeah. Before we get into talking about all that other juicy stuff, do you have any games that you did today?
No, actually not. I did a little softball, and of course spring football yesterday. And so I'm kind of balancing the scales a little bit. I'm kind of doing 1 weekend softball, 1 weekend baseball, and just kind of give the softball and baseball teams the equal love that they deserve.
They gotta have their Charles Edmond in their life.
No, that's awesome. I know Drew and I were just talking last week, and we've talked with other people trying to find ways to get more softball coverage in the spring. I know it's hard. So much of us, and there's so I feel like there's a lot of us, but so many of us are focused obviously on the primary things until a story like this story happened at Grambling comes, and then all of a sudden now we want to talk about volleyball. It was like, no, John, no one wants to talk about volleyball in the fall or in the off season. when there's a controversy, oh, well, let's talk about volleyball. Let's talk about the players and the coach and all that. Where was
Let's
everybody
become
talking
volleyball
about?
experts all of a sudden.
Yeah, well, not even, but still, the spring is not just about football. We know football covers everything, but we got to find ways to continue to advance the discussion, because I'm personally bothered, Charles, by the fact that, and I put this on me, so I'm not putting this on anybody else, that I can't find, or maybe I haven't done enough research, but I can't find a softball name other than Monet Davis. And Monet Davis is in her second year of playing softball at Hampton. But in terms of names, like, who is the name? Who is the face of softball right now? And so that bothers me. But as you think about coverage of softball, Charles, what kind of, or just non-football basketball sports, what are your thoughts there on that topic?
Well, softball is kind of like, baseball, SWAC baseball. I mean, you can ask the same question for baseball as well. I think it's the ultimate equalizer. It's the ultimate unknown, because in softball, it's about making the tournament, and it's about who gets hot come May 8th through the 12th. In baseball, it's who's going to get hot May 21st through the 25th, or whenever the baseball tournament is. We don't talk about softball and baseball during the regular season, unfortunately. I've been doing, SWAC baseball since 1994, and I was the only one really doing it for a period of years until other folks started getting in on the action. And I'm glad to see that, but it's kind of tapered off a little bit again. I mean, but softball, really, there's no one doing softball other than myself. And I'm not trying to, toot myself, pat myself on the back here, but it needs to be done. I'm hopeful and prayerful that other schools get involved with it. I know you guys have asked and inquired about doing some online streaming with softball as well as baseball, and I hope that continues. I think throughout our conference in baseball, what we're trying to do is at least put a camera up and show some action. Is there any commentary behind it? Probably not, my guess. And I'm not criticizing. I think schools are doing the best they can with it, but I think it needs to improve, and hopefully it will over time.
Mm-hmm. Drew, what else you got for Charles?
Charles, before you got on, I'm not supposed to do you like that. You're my brother from St. Louis. So I got to make sure I do you right. We were having this debate, Bryan and I. Did Alcorn participate in spring football during the year that they did not play spring football? Could you answer that for us? Let's start off there.
Well, when they
had like football, did they have traditional spring practice in lieu of the year when they sat out the SWAC spring football season?
2021.
Yes. The answer to the question is yes. While other teams were playing games that mattered in the spring, Alcorn was having full court practice on the football field. They were going to work, they were practicing, and so they went at it. The spring was the spring, and it was different because you're used to covering these teams in the spring with spring practice, and then you've got these games that are taking place. So it was different, but you kind of knew how it was going to go. There was some hope, from outsiders that maybe there would be a change of heart, but that didn't happen. And we didn't play in the spring. We had spring practice while other teams were playing spring football. It was a very interesting balance, to say the least.
So with that being said, what's the difference now from what you saw last spring versus what you've been able to ascertain this spring, as far as preparation, intensity, all those different factors? Is there a difference between what you saw last year and what you've seen thus far for Alcorn?
Absolutely. I mean, we are going through a total transformation offensively and defensively. Of course, for the first time in like 5 years, we don't know who our starting quarterback's going to be. You know, it had been Felix Harper, it had been Noah Johnson, it had been John Gibbs, it had been Lenore's Footman. We knew coming in to the season who our quarterback was going to be. And for the first time in like 5 years, we don't know who our quarterback's going to be. And that's a huge unknown. We all know in football, you got to have a quarterback that can get it done, or else you're not going to win. It's just that simple. And so for the first time, we don't know, you know, and so coming out of spring, I think it's still an unknown. Based on what I can tell, we probably won't name a starter until the fall. Other coaches, like Coach Dooley at Southern, said he wants to name a starting quarterback by the time the spring is over with. Not so sure if he's gotten there yet. I mean, I think coaches say that, but I think the spring is just not a lot of time to really ascertain who's going to be your starting quarterback come fall. And so I think for Alcorn, there's like a number of teams that have quarterback uncertainty. Grambling, Southern, as Alabama A&M. So you don't know. And so I think for us, I think on the offensive side of the ball, you don't know who our starting quarterback's going to be, number one. On the defensive side of the ball, Cedric Thomas returns to Alcorn as defensive coordinator. He's still trying to put his installs in place on defense. Not a lot of time for that. And so for the first time in a number of years, we've had unknowns. Cedric Thornton had been our defensive coordinator for years, and you kind of knew what you were getting. But now with a whole new defensive staff, not just defensive coordinator, new linebackers coach, secondary coach, you just don't know. So I think the difference between this year and last year, you kind of knew what you were getting, but this year it's different. Different personnel, different coaches, different philosophy, different way of doing business. And so I think that's the big difference between this year and last year.
So right now, if you had to say, and we won't ask you to being evaluated and say who's the leader of the quarterback room right now, who's the most likely starter.
No, evaluate. Tell us.
Tell us. See, Brian's going to tell you that. See, I was going to ask you that question on a different. I was going to tell you that. Ask you that question on a different level. If you could, can kind of give us the strengths and the weaknesses and the differences between the quarterbacks that you see in the quarterback room currently right now.
I think all of them have. I think. But one thing that I do notice with our quarterbacks, they're bigger in terms of size. You know, Felix Harper was 5'9", 5'10". The quarterbacks that we have in that quarterback room now are 6 feet, big kids. Louisiana Tech transfer, 6'2", 6'3". So from a size perspective in the quarterback position, whoever takes center come September 5th against Stephen F. Austin is going to be a bigger quarterback than we've seen the last few years. That's the biggest difference. A big, tall kid with a bit of really, really solid arm that can get the ball down, that can push the ball down the field. Felix Harper did a nice job with that. He was able to scramble around and extend plays. But whoever's going to take center for the Braves at quarterbacks, a big arm, big guy, you know, kind of like pass at Prairie View, big, tall kid, big, rangy, long, athletic. And so I think that's going to be the biggest difference this year at quarterback.
Go ahead, Brian.
Let me ask, because you know, as I was looking at the roster, and it had me thrown for a second, because under the 2022 roster, I see Felix Harper as a grad student, and so I was like, wait a minute, he's back. Trigger Man's got another year. I didn't think so, but okay. So forget what you see on the Alcorn State website. If you guys see him on the roster under 2022.
So he's used red shirt, COVID, and any other years. That would be correct, Charles, right?
Yeah.
Used it all.
That is correct.
All right.
So you mentioned having as I look at that roster, and you talked about having bigger guys. Obviously, you know, the names that I see here, that you got a grad student in Markavian Quinn, 6'3", 195. And you got a trio of sophomores that are all 6'2" to 6'3" in Cole Williams, Trey Lawrence, Cam Ivory. All of those guys are sophomores from out of Montgomery, Birmingham, and Jacksonville. And then there's even a redshirt freshman in the mix on the roster. Not sure who's coming in the fall. There obviously always is maybe an incoming freshman that might be coming. But give us a little how was the spring game set up for for Alcorn? Was it 1 versus 1s, 2 versus 2, and then based on the setup, who showed to be your most impressive quarterbacks that you saw?
You know, I think it was from what I saw. You know, Fred McNair wanted to mix it up a little bit. You know, 1s versus 1s, 2s versus 1s. You know, I think they kind of knew that coming out of the spring, they wanted to show some stuff. They wanted to show people with what they had, and I think Lawrence was a pretty good. You know, he did a really nice job. I think all the quarterbacks did their thing, but the story, Brian, was the defense. The defense had 4 picks. And so that's, you know, that kind of jumps off the page when you see that. You know, the secondary is really going to be strong this year for the Braves. The secondary is really going to be good. And I think, you know, you kind of saw that last year a little bit at the end of the year. But based on what we saw in spring yesterday in the spring game, the defense really shined. And you kind of expect that a little bit because of the unknown at the quarterback position. So you know, that's the one thing that's for me as far as defense really coming to play and getting after it. And if that's the case, because there were times defensively that we just couldn't stop the run, big plays, Southern University, Bethune-Cookman, you know, there were some big plays that we gave up down the stretch, Jackson State. And if that defense, especially the back end of that secondary, if they come up big like they did in the spring game Saturday, I think good things are in store for the Braves.
What do you have, Drew? It looked like you wanted to jump in.
I think Charles answered my question because I was going to ask. You said you mentioned the 4 picks, and I was going to ask, was that because of the? And it's always kind of tough to see in the spring. Was that because the defense was that good, or the quarterbacks were that bad, or was it somewhere in between? But I think you already kind of chimed on that. Part of the problem is, you know, the lack of an established number one QB1 in the quarterback room may have led it. And then when you already have good athletes in that back seven, especially that back 4, you know, they're able to take advantage of those. But that's just like they would take advantage of any other team that would have a subpar quarterback playing at that point in time. Is that what I'm getting out of this, Charles?
Yeah, I think it is in the middle. I mean, I think that, you know, Braves fans are going to have to be patient this year. And I know when you talk about fandom and patience, they don't go together. You know, we have won 6 straight division titles. We didn't get it done, and people are antsy. The Braves Nation is antsy because they felt like some games got away. Southern game, Bethune-Cookman, Jackson State. You know, we were kind of right there in the cusp, but couldn't finish the deal, couldn't get over that hump, couldn't pick up a big first down, couldn't get a big stop on defense, couldn't get a stop on special teams, couldn't, you know, I mean, so there was a bunch of things that factored into that. We were injured, you know, a lot, and I know injuries are a part of it, but, you know, there was a lot that went into that last year. And I think, you know, the emergence of Jack 8 and what Coach Sanders was able to do 13 months on the job, winning the Eastern Division, winning the SWAC championship. Nobody expected that, including myself, I have to admit. I think that's got people antsy. And you look at Shedeur Sanders as a sophomore, you know, those pieces, just adding the pieces to what they already had last year. I mean, they could run it back again. I mean, you look at what we dealt with John Gibbs, a freshman quarterback at Alcorn, in the run that he had. So I think Braves fans are a little bit giddy, you know, moving to the West. That's going to be tough. But you don't know what Prairie View's got in store with a first-year coach. You know, obviously Southern trying to find a quarterback. You know, Hugh Jackson at Grambling, who's going to be their quarterback? So I think there's a lot of anxious moments for Braves fans, and rightfully so, because we've been used to being up there. But now all of a sudden we're taking a step back with a different quarterback. Hopefully not. But it's just reality is that there's going to be some growing pains. We hope it's not going to be that painful, but we know it's there. It's just a matter of how can we get acclimated and get it going right away.
I'm glad you brought that up.
Oh, go ahead. I'll come back to mine. Go ahead, Brian.
Well, no, I was just going to say I'm glad you brought that up about where Alcorn State fans have to be at mentally or where they are mentally, because that, like you said, you went 6 years as the champ. So you got to imagine for half a decade, you're going into the fall with that warm feeling. And, you know, that carries on. And then finally, you go into an off season. Like last year, you're looking to prove that, okay, this is new, but we're still the champ because no one took our title. We gave it, we handed it over, however you want to say it. But now this is the first spring in a long time where you weren't the champ. Everybody beat you, and they, you didn't do it on the field. Somebody else did it, and now you got to go in and sort of reset. So yeah, that's an interesting place for Coach McNair and the staff and the fan base to be, I think. So that's one of those storylines that I'm sure people will be talking about in the fall. Go ahead, Drew.
Yeah. Well, that kind of brings me in to talk about some of the things from last year going into this year. One of the things that you will Alcorn will benefit of, this is the last year of the COVID penalties, as I like to call them, because last year you had your home games taken away from teams that you were supposed to play in 2020 that you were not able to travel to. You've got a couple of games still left that you have to pay back this year. I believe you guys will have 4 conference home games this year instead of 2. Do I have that number correct, Charles?
Yeah, we got to go back to Southern University again. We got to go back to Valley again.
Okay, so you lost those 2. So 4 instead of your is that 3 or 4 home games?
The home games. I got the schedule pulled up right here. The home games in the conference are UAPB, September 24th, Texas Southern, October 22nd. Then the last 2, Bethune-Cookman on November 12th and Jackson State on November 19th. And then you guys obviously open the season at home against Stephen F. Austin.
Right. Yeah. So you got your 5 home games this year. So you got more home games this year. You got more conference games at home, even though you don't have that full allotment or have the schedule work out like it should because of the paybacks and everything. So have fans actually recognized this and recognized the challenge that you guys had last year because of that schedule? And I said it back in June, July. If Alcorn wins last year with that schedule, based on the fact they had 6 conference games on the road, they will have earned it. They will definitely have earned their place as number 1. Do you feel better with more home games this year, or are there still too many other holes before we even worry about where we're playing?
I think fans are very giddy, and I do think that there's a little bit of relief that there's a few more home games out there to be able to take advantage of. I do think that people are still stinging about, the fact that we got to go back to Southern University again. I have to go back to Valley. The Southern one is the one everybody talks about. We all know how tough it is to win at Mumford Stadium. We kind of had that game in our sights, last year and have to go back there again. So I do think that there's some anxious times when it comes to that particular game. But I think overall, I think people are, resounding the fact that this is kind of the penalty and the payback for what didn't happen in the spring. And we just have to accept the fact that we just got to play through this. I mean, we got a very difficult schedule here. I like the schedule, playing an FCS team in McNeese. You got Stephen F. I think it's a quality schedule across the board in which we're going to be severely tested right off the bat. Stephen F. is a quality opponent. We played them back in the 90s when they were really good, a 1AA opponent. That's going to be a tough challenge, even though it's at home. Then we got to go to Lake Charles and play McNeese. That's going to be another tough one, another FCS quality opponent. So I think the schedule's tough. I just think our fans are just so used to being on top of the mountain for so long. I mean, I think what the Braves did in winning 6 straight division titles may be something that may never happen again. Well, you never say never, but I don't think it's going to happen at any level of football, college football, for some time. I just think that was a terrific run. We're just used to it. But I think now teams are getting better. You see Jackson State clearly has accelerated their process. You see Florida A&M, your team, Brian Fulford, has accelerated their process. They're going to be a team to beat. And I think now we just have to accelerate our process. But the process is the process. It's not going to happen overnight. And I just hope we take a deep breath and be a little bit patient. The transfer portal, I came in on that. I think from what I was told, Coach Dooley's going to look at the transfer portal, try to bring in another quarterback between now and fall. I don't know if we're going to do that or not, but I think the transfer portal gives you an opportunity to improve that position or whatever position you're looking for right away because there's talent out there. So, I mean, I think this is what causes anxious moments for everybody. And, Jackson State above and beyond everyone else in the league right now, FAMU's in second and who's third? I think for the Braves, we just have to go through our processes, find ourselves a quarterback, which I think we will by the fall. Our defense will be better. Our special teams, we hope, will be better. And I think we will compete. But our fans are anxious. They're anxious. They're giddy. They see all the media coverage from these other schools, from Jackson State especially, and all over social media. And they're like, doggone it, we moved to the West, and now we got to deal with this. I mean, that's just, if we want to be real about it, let's just be real about it. I mean, yes, we're in the opposite division, but they're getting all the love and coverage. They're splashed all over social media, and rightfully so. 13 months on the job, he wins the SWAC championship, goes to Celebration Bowl, wins the Eastern Division, getting all the love. It happens. It happens. It hasn't happened, but it did happen in this case. So now what are we going to do? What is FAMU going to do? What is Alcorn going to do? What is Southern going to do? That's going to be the key, because if you get off to a poor start, you might not catch up. Just ask Willie Simmons. You lose that one game against Jackson State, and you never could get there because Jackson State handled their business the rest of the season.
Well, one thing, Charles, I think the West is wide open this year. Whoever figures it out first will have a tremendous advantage. I mean, Grambling State, new coach. Southern, new coach. Prairie, new coach. Texas Southern, improving, but they're still been at the bottom of the conference. Then you've got you guys, and then you've got UAPB, who had who was back to the UAPB that we know after that one breakout year. So I think the West is wide open, even with the unknowingness at the quarterback positions. If Alcorn can get all the other positions feel good, and you might be able to get away with an average quarterback and win the West. Now you may not be able to go up against the East competition, because the East looks like it's going to be loaded once again, but the East may beat up on each other and leave it wide open for somebody, for whoever comes out the West. Just my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, right now, Prairie View is the defending Western Division champs, but the previous coach at Prairie View is now at Southern University. You don't have pass. You have a new coach there. You got a new way of doing business over there. So, for me, anytime you have a new coach, there's a different way of doing things, and there's growing pains. And I think what happens is, what we're seeing right now is the growing pains can't be prolonged, because teams are getting off to good starts. We keep coming back to what Jackson State has done. We keep coming back to FAMU and what they've done. You can't afford to go 2 or 3 years and just like the old days of building a program from the ground up, it takes 3 years. No, sir. We're not in that. That's long gone now. You got to hit the ground running. So, yes, the West is wide open. It truly is, because we don't know. You got Bowden and Body. Is Bowden going to be the quarterback at Grambling? We don't know. I mean, a number of players were transferring from that program, especially after their spring game last week. We don't know what that quarterback position is going to look like. Coach Dooley, you look at Bo McDaniel. He's had a solid spring. Will he be the starting quarterback at Southern? I don't think so. In my opinion, I think Dooley's going to find a guy on the portal, and he's going to start the season. Just my opinion, even though McDaniel's had a solid spring. You got Body at Texas Southern, solid freshman, solid kid.
Yeah.
Made freshman mistakes, but he's a year older. So there's a lot of unknowns on the Western side. But I do think if the Braves can get a quarterback that's serviceable, whoever gets that, the key word is serviceable. You got to win with a serviceable quarterback. If you're serviceable, you can manage the game, not make a lot of mistakes. I do think you can win a lot, especially on the Western side, considering the unknowns.
Hey, Charles, before we let you get out of here, I was going to ask you about the schedule, but a question that came from the YouTube chat. Edwin Moore sends out a message asking, he says, Alcorn football has traditionally gotten really good coverage from the Jackson TV sports teams, or I guess area. Has that fallen off? Has that coverage from the Jackson area fallen off a little bit with Dion coming over and Alcorn not winning the conference? What's your take or your response to that?
I think it's about the same. From what I can tell, and I know the guys that cover sports in the 3 Jackson TV stations. I know guys at each one of those 3 stations. They've been at our home games, especially, not necessarily the road games, but at home they have been there. There's a camera there. There's a reporter there. So to answer the question, I've seen coverage from the 3 TV stations. It's been about the same, to be honest. But clearly, as far as Jackson State goes, they're as someone told me, Jackson State's my meal ticket. Someone referred to them as that because of all the coverage and how they're able to cover Jackson State and getting the inside intel. But I think the coverage to me, and I'm a media guy, so I follow the ebbs and flows of the media. I think it's been about the same. We're gonna get some highlight packages, especially at home. So when we play Stephen F, I expect full coverage of that first game of the year, from the 3 TV stations. So I haven't seen a drop off at all. Even though Dion is a talk, I do think the 3 TV stations want to do the other schools justice. Valley as well as Alcorn, because you got one reporter basically at each one of those 3 TV stations covering Alcorn, Jackson, and Valley. So they have to get the pick and decide which games they want to cover. You can't be in 3 places at once. So I think that's the tough challenge. If you want to have full coverage of the 3, you need to have 3 reporters. Due to budget constraints, that's not happening. You got one guy that's going to cover all 3, and you just have to look at the schedule and decide which games you're going to cover. If the Braves are out of town, if Jackson's out of town, if Valley's in town, that game will get coverage. It's unfortunate, but it's an unfortunate reality. But to answer the question, I haven't seen a drop off in terms of coverage for Alcorn sports, Alcorn, especially the home games. I do see, a number of camera people from the Jackson stations there.
Well, next time we have you on, Charles, we're going to talk a little bit about the schedule. I'm excited that Alcorn is starting the season with an FCS opponent, and that opponent is actually coming to Alcorn, and Alcorn is not traveling to that FCS opponent. We need more schools. I think I would like to see, whether it's HBCU or not, I would like to see us hosting more of these FCS games. If we want to talk about improving the conference ratings and the conference standings, we need to A, host these games, B, we got to win them. In that order. You got to have them first before you can win them. So we'll talk more about the schedule a little bit later on. So hey, what's your week like? How many games? I know you're floating back and forth. Baseball, softball. What's the week like for you?
Well, let's see. This is Easter week coming up. So this week is baseball. I was in Arkansas a few days ago, and I'll be going back to Arkansas, Pine Bluff. Our baseball team is playing UAPB, and our baseball team's having a tough go of it. A lot of people are really on us on social media about the struggles of the baseball team. And I would just suggest to every Braves fan listening and watching to follow me on social media. And I did an interview last Sunday with Coach Williams, and he talked about the struggles. He came in August, no fall ball, no recruiting, 15 players, no catcher. I mean, if people would take a listen to that and understand why we're in the position that we're in, but he's not making any excuses about it. We got guys playing out of position. And so he's trying to make it work the best way that he can. So I hope people, take a listen to that interview and just take a deep breath, because it's going to be tough this year. But I can tell you this, based on people that are following me on Twitter, baseball players that are interested in coming to Alcorn, it will be better on the other side. So let's just get through this year and have a little patience.
And with that, find Charles on Twitter at TallmanRadio. And a perfect way to end it. I'm glad you brought that up. I didn't know how to touch the subject because I didn't know how touchy it was, and but I'm glad you brought it out. And yeah, make sure to follow at Tallman Radio on Twitter and go listen to that interview. So Charles, have a good week. Good to talk to you as always, and we will see you down the road. All right.
I appreciate
your homeboy. All right, homie.
All right, let's take a break, step away, come back on the other side. You're watching the BCSN SportsWrap.
Nope. Nope.
Come on, him.
Ooh, I like him.
Quick, the quicker picker-upper. Bounty picks up messes quicker, and each sheet is 2 times more absorbent, so you can use less.
He's an 8. He's a 9.
Bounty, the quicker picker-upper.
Oh, that spin class was brutal. You can try using the Buick's massaging seat. Ooh, yeah, that's nice.
Can I use Apple CarPlay to put some music on?
Sure, it's wireless. Pick something we all like.
Okay, hold on. What's your Buick's Wi-Fi password?
Buick Envision 2021.
Oh, you should pick something stronger. That's really predictable.
That's a really tight spot. Don't worry, I used to hate parallel parking.
Me too.
Hey.
Really outdid yourself.
Yes, we did.
The all-new Buick Envision, an SUV built around you, all of you.
Now, you can't live in Texas and not have a good red meat blend. Texas Cowboy Dust is designed for steak and other red meats. It's out to be my most popular spice blend, made with onions, peppers, ground mushrooms, pink salt, and other spices. Texas Cowboy Dust also goes great with chicken, pork, vegetables, and adds a restaurant-quality sheen to gravies and sauces.
It's like a loot machine. All around town, people trying to get down.
Vanilla smoked sea salt seasoning is for seafood. The tarragon and fennel bring out the natural sweetness in seafood. I also use it in rice dishes, on yams, asparagus, blueberry pancakes, and believe it or not, chocolate chip cookies. Vanilla smoked sea salt adds a salty and savory component to sweet dishes that create a symphony for the tongue.
The Cuvée Group is a Florida-based marketing and training consulting firm. We help businesses communicate to their target audience and engage them in conversation. We also help to expand their audiences, which will ultimately result in growth for those organizations. In addition to being a certified constant contact specialist, my colleagues and I are also certified in John Maxwell Leadership Principles. We use these proven principles to conduct workshops, training, and private coaching sessions for individuals and companies looking to take things to the next level. Contact us to schedule a free consultation. Issues today, don't delay, call Cuvée.
Since 2002, Empowerment Resources, Inc., a nonprofit organization, has empowered more than 1,500 youth and adults in Duval and surrounding counties through its programs Journey into Womanhood, Girls Mentoring, Life Skills for Teens, and Parenting Education Coaching. To get involved with programs, volunteer, or donate, visit www.empowermentresourcesinc.org. Follow us on social media, facebook.com/empowerment.resources and instagram.com/empowermentJAX.
Okay, welcome back to the BCSN SportsWrap. Bryan and AD here. Shout out to Charles Edmond for joining us in that last segment. On this show today, we are all about celebrating my guy, AD Drew, right there. His birthday is today. So if you're on the YouTube stream, if you're on Facebook, watching the show, make sure to give Show AD some love. The collection plate is moving around the congregation, and so we would like for you to show some love to my man. Show some love to AD, so that way after this show he can just hit the delivery button on his app and order himself a nice bottle of his favorite spirit, and and then and he can do delivery. We don't want him driving anywhere after the show. We want him to be able to sit there and in his own house and enjoy. You can hit him up on Cash App, $ Coach Drew, DREWAD. That's where you can find him. $ Coach Drew AD. Whatever you have, like I said, when the plate goes around, we're not asking for 10%. We just asking for $1, a couple dollars, $5, $10, whatever you can do. We appreciate it. So I know Drew appreciates it. So we appreciate you guys for blessing. All right. So real quick update. Obviously, today's the last day of the NBA regular season. And, I said, Drew, I would do a little 10-minute, just a recap of just to get people ready for the NBA. So today on the last season, keep me at 2 minutes here, Drew. Hit your stopwatch. Be ready. All right. Don't let me go longer than 2 minutes. So here we are on the last day, of the NBA season, where it is a mix of teams. Here's what the breakdown looks like going into the playoffs in the Eastern Conference. Right now, you got the 1 seed as the Miami Heat locked in. The 2 seed is the Milwaukee Bucks. The Bucks are locked into the 2 seed by virtue of resting their guys today and losing big time to the Cleveland Cavaliers. Cleveland Cavaliers are the 8 seed. They are stuck in the 8 seed, playing in the play-in game against the number 7 seed, the Brooklyn Nets, who had to beat the Indiana Pacers today. They managed to do that, although it was a close game. The Nets ended up doing that. So the play-in game, 7 versus 8, Brooklyn hosting the Cleveland Cavaliers. The other 2 teams in the play-in game are the Hawks hosting the Hornets. The Nets Cavaliers winner advances, and they are the solid 7 seed. The Cavaliers and Nets loser plays the winner of the Hawks and Hornets game. Hopefully you got all that figured away. Essentially 7 versus 8, 9 versus 10. The loser of that game plays the winner of 9-10. So anyway, the 3 seed, the Boston Celtics, the 4 seed, the Sixers, those 2 teams are playing today. I don't know what that is. I don't know if that's our producer or anything else, but anyway, the 5 seed Toronto Raptors. Interesting about Toronto. Anybody going into Toronto has to be vaccinated. Maybe that affects the Boston Celtics. Maybe that affects the Philly 76ers. Nobody really knows. It's all up in the air. The 6 seed, the Chicago Bulls. Everybody wants to play the Chicago Bulls because Chicago Bulls don't beat anybody good. So there's your Eastern summary right there. Over in the West, guess what? The Lakers are not in the playoffs, ladies and gentlemen, just in case you didn't know that. The number 1 seed are the Suns. The 2 seed, the most dangerous team in the West, the Memphis Grizzlies. That's right. You heard it here first. Memphis Grizzlies, most dangerous team in the West, not the Golden State Warriors, who are the 3 seed with a half-game lead over the Mavericks, followed by the Jazz, Nuggets, Timberwolves, and the Clippers. The Timberwolves and Clippers are the 7 and 8. Pelicans, Suns, 9-10. All right, there's my 2 minutes. Drew, did you catch all that? You got everything? You done?
2 minutes and 20 seconds, Brian.
Right. Go to full screen for a second so I can blow my nose, Mr. Producer. Drew, tell us something real quick for like 30 seconds so I can properly blow my nose and not be.
As my buddy Brian leaves to handle his personal business, just wanted to drop this nugget on you. You know, we always talk about HBCUs adding other sports. Well, Virginia State will be adding the sport of men and women's lacrosse. That's right. It was announced earlier this week that Virginia State University will add lacrosse. Virginia State currently offers 17 athletic teams, 8 for women, 8 for men, and co-ed cheerleading. And men's soccer will be added in fall of 23. So we've got lacrosse coming to Virginia State in 2022 and men's soccer coming in 2023. And, you know, it's always been curious as to why more of our HBCUs do not play soccer, you know, especially if you want to get into the international market, bring a lot of international students where everybody else plays soccer. besides us here in the United States. So this came out on April 6th this is courtesy of USA LAX magazine, a lacrosse magazine, announcing Virginia State adding lacrosse.
Lacrosse is a very big sport in the.
Hold on, before you go to that, the new NCAA regulation soccer field, which can also be used for lacrosse, is currently under construction and is slated to be complete in May of this year. The field will be located on the campus of Virginia State University, adjacent to the VSU Multi-Purpose Center. So in addition to adding sports, they're also adding facilities to support the sports. So that's kudos to Virginia State there, Brian.
All right. So let's get into a few baseball rankings here. These are our BCSN Week 2 computer baseball ratings. These are fresh. These are hot. These are coming out like those Krispy Kreme donuts with the red light on. So fresh off today's results around the HBCU landscape, Southern comes in rated number 1 based on the computer rankings. Florida A&M at 2, Alabama State at 3, Bethune-Cookman at 4, who just got swept, by the way, by Florida A&M in their home park. So shout out to the Rattlers for going on the road and sweeping Bethune. And then Prairie View A&M comes in at 5 on the cusp. You got Grambling State and Southern. And I brought that up because I wanted to just kind of go through those, because looking at those standings, Alabama State actually, let me do a refresh here on the page because maybe it's been updated. Yes, it has. Alabama State sitting 1 game in first place over FAMU, courtesy Alabama State with a sweep over A&M, Alabama A&M over the weekend. Southern getting a sweep over, I forgot, who was Southern playing this weekend, Drew?
Give me just a second. I just had the squad page for. Oh, you got it?
Well, they were playing Alcorn.
Okay. No, Southern.
Yeah.
Southern. Right.
Southern. Prairie View and Grambling are at 8 and 4, sitting behind. So a little bit. I'm sure that will draw some controversy and some eye rolls from Alabama State folks, because the one actually. The 4 Alabama A&M and FAMU have played 4 times this season, and the Hornets have won all 4 of those. So, but the computers and probably maybe
one didn't count.
Strength. Well, but the computer.
Well, one was non-conference. They rephrased it.
It doesn't matter. What I'm saying is the computer takes into consideration the whole season, right?
Correct.
Yeah. So all 4 of those games are L's to Alabama State. But again, 1 point, 154, 153, you see the numbers there. So it is what it is. That'll even itself out later on in the year when Alabama State comes to Florida A&M for a series. All right, let's move over to the Division II level. Division II level, whoa, a new number 1 on the Division II ranking side. Interesting there. As we see Albany State moving into the number 1 spot. What happened there, Drew? Albany State with a slight lead over Savannah State. Did I miss a game or two? So who does Savannah State play this weekend?
Savannah State has Tuskegee. They won on yesterday. Do not have the results from today at Tuskegee, as they were scheduled to play 2 today at Tuskegee. So, and I think that may be part of it. Albany State's results were in when we ran the numbers. Savannah State's results were not in when we had to run the numbers. So I expect Savannah State to be back up there once the results of the Tuskegee-Savannah State series is over, because there were still 2 games to be played in that series.
Okay. Miles comes in at 3. Kentucky State at 4. And then it looks like, there's a tie there in 5th place between Tuskegee and West Virginia State. Is that what that is? Okay.
That is correct.
Okay. So that's how that shapes out. And I guess while we're talking there about the Division II, let me go to the next before I mention something. Go over to the NAIA real quick. Okay, so in
new number one.
NAIA, new number 1, Russ College comes in just ahead of Talladega, who's at 2. Florida Memorial's coming in at 3, technically. Xavier is 4. Edward Waters is 5, with Payne College probably being the biggest drop because I believe Payne was
they were 4.
Top 5. Okay, they were 4. Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. So again, these are computer rankings.
The biggest drop was Harris Stowe. Actually, Harris Stowe was last week's number 2.
Okay. So they dropped all the way down, basically out. That's about a 5 spot drop if I had to guess, right?
Correct.
Okay. So computer rankings, obviously not pollsters. If you want to go and see a actual poll with a bunch of people, a bunch of media people who pay attention to HBCU baseball, go to blackcollege9s.com, pay attention to their top 10 large school, small school poll, and see what the humans think, and you'll kind of get a different perspective on their poll. Want to make mention of a new show that'll be coming up on Wednesday evenings, probably at about 7 o'clock Eastern Time, 6 Central, featuring our very own AD Drew and Michael Coker of blackcollege9s.com, The Road to Montgomery. And that will be a show that'll spotlight the various teams, the rankings, as we get probably about a month away from the Black College World Series. The 2022 Black College World Series being held in Montgomery, Alabama on May 12th through the 15th.
11th.
11th through the 15th.
11th.
Well, I thought the first game was the 12th.
No, it's 11th. The pre-tournament stuff is the 10th. You're off a day.
Oh, okay. I had it. All right, my bad. May 11th through the 15th, the Black College World Series. All the games will be broadcast on the Black College Sports Network here. Drew, what can people expect from that show with you and Mike?
First of all, you're going to expect me to tell you to go to blackchampionships.com to the World Series page and order gear such as what I have on that's available for sale for the Black College World Series so that you can show your fandom for the Black College World Series. I've got the Black College World Series official hat on, and this is the long sleeve t-shirt that I have on today, Brian. But there are hoodies, caps, gaiters, all kinds of things that will be available merchandise-wise for the Black College World Series. But getting back to your question at hand, basically, the Wednesday show will be simple. We'll spend the first segment going over just the history of the Black College, how we got here, the who, what, when, where, and why of this Black College World Series will be the first segment. The second segment will be an interview with some of the important people of the Black College World Series, possibly somebody local from the Montgomery community will bring in their perspective of the Black College World Series and what it means to that community. Then the back half of the show, that's when we get into the hard numbers, the rankings, the projections, okay? Kind of like they do with the NCAA show. These are the teams who are projected to begin. First one out, second one out, things of that nature. So that's what the back half of the show will be, separated obviously into a NCAA segment and an NAIA segment.
So these will be probably 4 weeks, the 4 weeks
Yes.
leading up to the actual contest. The selection of the teams is when?
The third show will be the announcement of the 8 participants. And then
Okay, so that's April 27th.
Is that third Wednesday?
Yeah, I'm looking at a calendar. I
The
got
last the last Wednesday of the month, yes. And then the May 4th show, we'll actually be breaking down the 8 participants of the World Series at that point in time. And then we'll be playing ball the Wednesday after that.
All right, so that should be a good that'll be a good breakdown there. Again, Road to Montgomery right here on the Black College Sports Network. We'll be breaking down the 8, well, all of the teams that'll have an opportunity to play in the second annual Black College World Series 2022 in Montgomery, Alabama, featuring the top Division II and NAIA baseball teams. So let's step away for a short break. Come back on the other side and get ready to close the showdown with a few other topics of note. You're watching the BCSN Sports Wrap. We'll be back after these words.
Supermarket sushi, really?
No. Wait, Troy, you work here?
I'm never not working. Like Head & Shoulders Scalp Shield technology, up to 100% dandruff protection, even between washes.
Never not working, huh?
Oh, Troy, you're such a good teacher.
Yeah, I know. Never not working. Never not working. Never ever not working.
Are you serious?
Never not working. Dandruff protection that's never not working. Head & Shoulders Scalp Shield technology.
It's never too early to plant the seed, to share the tradition, and instill a sense of pride in your HBCU with your little ones. HBCU Pride and Joy Children's Boutique helps you share your school spirit with a wide selection of adorable kids' apparel and accessories officially licensed from your favorite HBCU. Visit hbcupridejoy.com and follow us on all social media at HBCU Pride Joy on Facebook and Twitter.